Hello, welcome to Jen's Primitive Gems. Today I'm going to give you some tips and tricks on painting furniture. You definitely want to get a good brush when you're painting furniture. I used to just use the cheapies and I thought that they were just as good, but once I started using the better ones, I found out that they're just so much better for paint coverage. Cheap brushes will lose their bristles really easily usually, and you don't want that getting in your paint. It's a real pain in the bum. This one in particular is an Annie Sloan brush, and I've had it for quite a long time. They are pricey, but they last a really long time, so in the end, you're really saving money. These are the brushes that I use the most. I use little detail brushes sometimes, and I use the angled one to get into corners and edges. If you've watched my other videos, you would see that I love Fusion paint. This is the paint I use most of the time. Here's a dresser that I got for free. It's not the exact same style as the long one and the nightstands that I did, but I painted it the same color, and then I found this hardware to go on the bottom 3 drawers that's not exactly the same as the one on the other dressers, but very similar. So I'm going to sell that as a set, the tall boy, the long one, and the nightstands. I just have the first coat of paint on the tall boy at this point. I still have to put a second coat on. Make sure you keep your old hardware and screws from other pieces that you've done. For instance, sometimes you'll get a piece and it'll only have a few drawer pulls or knobs on it, so you might have to replace them. So keep the old ones and keep the screws right in the hardware so they're easy to find. I have a big container of screws, but it takes time to find them sometimes. Here is the shelf in my garage. It's important to have your stuff organized so that you know where to find stuff when you need it. When you're painting, it's a good idea to pour your paint into a separate container. So I try to remember to keep like yogurt containers and, you know, any kind of plastic container. Then, you know, I can reuse it or throw it out. Today I don't have one of those, obviously, but that's all right. You just don't want anything contaminating your paint, like little bits or little bristles. I am going to purchase a light and thing that holds my phone. I just have not done that yet. So when you're painting your piece, you don't need to put your brush in the paint too far. Just, you know, like a quarter of the way down the brush is good enough. And then if you want to, you know, get a good grip on your brush, like so, and then you can just go ahead and paint across. Sometimes I like to just cover my piece completely with the paint, distress the edges, or sometimes I don't distress the edges at all, just leave it just painted. Sometimes I will paint it to look distressed. It's important you go with the grain of the wood and that you don't put too much paint on your brush. Then you end up with drips and that kind of thing. You want to just have enough. You don't want too much. You can always add more. You want to have good light where you're painting as well. I live in Canada and it's cold here today. It's March. I had the door open for a bit, but I'm frozen now. So anyway, I just put the lamp on this side so I could see painting on that side. And here's a little trick so that your paint, you can get your paint lid off easier. So sometimes the paint hardens in there and it's hard to get the lid off. So what you can do is just put a piece of saran wrap over, and then you don't even have to screw it on, just just sort of leave it like that. So just kind of press it on. And then your paint will still be fresh and you'll be able to get the lid off easily. I just put some Dawn dish soap on my brush and I'm just going to rub it on the palm of my hand like this. So I've already got the majority of the paint out of this one. So what I do is I sort of tap it and then I squeeze like this and then pour the water in this way and squeeze. And once you see that there's no more, there's just a tiny, tiny bit of paint coming out now, and there. I think I got all the paint out of it. These brushes take a while to clean because they're so stiff with so many bristles, which is not my favorite part of the process, but necessary to really clean your brushes well. And then I just give my sink a good wipe with a paper towel, make sure I got all the paint off of it. Oops. And when you're all done, you want to hang your brush to dry. It's very important to hang your brushes to dry. You don't want the water getting in and wrecking the brush. Here is a before shot of the dresser. I know I've mentioned this in one of my other videos, but you want to wait usually at least 4 hours in between coats. This one I have 2 coats on here and I just lightly distress the edges. Here is the final product. If you liked my video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And thanks for watching.